Gaming is in session, the podcast. We are back. This week we are covering 1000 times resist. And if you're new to the podcast, we play 20% of a game and then decide, is it worth continuing or are we moving on to the next game in the backlog? Alex has chosen this game and it's all about the empowered woman. And Alex, I hate sexism. I think that each job in America, or anywhere in the world, a job should have an associated price and salary. It should not matter who gets the job. That's why I hate it when people come and they say, listen, men, yeah, they make more because they're in high paying jobs like lawyers and doctors and executives. And females are in lesser positions like female doctor and female lawyer and female executive. That is bullcrap. It's horrible. And I hate it. That gaming is in session. We take a stand against sexism. That's bullcrap. You do a job, you should get paid for it. Tell me I'm right.
I knew the joke you were coming in with was going to be sexist.
What?
I'm glad. I'm glad that you laced it in unsexism. You don't like that. That's the case.
That's bullcrap. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't want to get into the whole thing. Yes, that's bullcrap. And look at your background. That's sexist. I'm putting you on blast. What makes me not be able to get pregnant? That could be a man.
Yeah. Do you want Adam? I'm not going to get you pregnant, but I can help you get pregnant.
Do it. And speaking of celebrating women, I've got tossed. This
Toast.
is my game. What?
Is it not toast?
I don't know. It's got the O with the two dots over it. I don't know what it means. It's rosé, white tea, ginger, and elderberry.
Wait. That's a big bottle. You got to drink the whole thing.
What?
You got to drink that whole thing.
No, that's not the rule. No, not if it's a whole thing.
You should have come up with a glass of that. You got to drink that whole thing, Adam? That's okay. I'm proud of you.
So you're telling me if I poured the glass out before we started the episode, I would have only had to drink the glass. But because I wanted to show the bottle, because we're being classy tonight. I got the blazer. I've got the. You're gonna make me drink the whole thing. I can't even open it. So
you'll probably want to drink it after you eat the bean for not drinking it. So it's kind of a catch-22.
Well, licking it off my hands, not great. What do you have? What do you have, Alex?
I've always seen this. People say it's great. I have Modelo.
Sexist.
Quilada.
A fan owns that company. You suck.
Modelo Quilada. This is Especial, and has the refreshing flavors of tomato, salt, and lime.
That sounds disgusting.
Right?
Tomato
No, it doesn't.
in beer?
It doesn't sound like it's going to be good, and that's partially why I wanted to try it, because so many people love it. And so it's like, maybe there's something there. I have a feeling I'm not going to.
Well, there's only one way. Rip it and grip it, big boys.
Give it a chiku. I should have not gotten a tall boy. Maybe that's what I should have not done.
Hey, I have a whole freaking bottle. Don't you come and complain to me.
It tastes like ketchup beer.
Oh, that's disgusting. Ew. Ew. Dude, okay. So that sounds nasty to me, but is it nasty?
Have you ever had V8?
Yeah.
Like the tomato V8?
Sure have.
It's kind of like that.
Ew.
It's not that bad. I mean, I can make it work.
I can't even open this. It's okay. Maybe by the second segment, I can actually open this up.
I think that's a bean. I think it's a bean. I went with a nail clipper to open my bottles, and you're over here just crying because you can't lick it hard enough to make it open.
I'm sorry, I got some champagne and it's a little bubbly. Not my fault.
No, I'm sorry you're weak.
I'm trying to celebrate the women of this podcast and those who listen. Speaking of that, we should have a woman on here one day. Maybe we could ask your mama. She's a mighty fine woman. But we need to cover fan shout-outs. Do you think any of these people are women? Because let's give them the spotlight.
Let me see. Moldy Raven. Moldy Ravens is a womanly name. Moldy Raven 558 said, "Remind me when it's February." This was on your video for the games coming out in February. I don't.
There's a couple decent games coming out in February. I'm kind of excited for. Experimental. There aren't any heavy hitters, but thank you for watching, Moldy Raven. And if you're a man, I'm sorry. Alex is the one who insulted you, not me.
Pick a manlier name.
Well, so there's also someone, Tuned Alone 531. Probably butchered that, whatever. First, this is in respect to my video about Demio, which I do not like that VR game. I do think it's difficult, and I think it sucks. He said, first person who spoke and said it was hard, get good. First of all, that is a dirty lie. People admit it is difficult, but they like the difficulty. I'm just the first one that actually complains and says it's too hard, that it's not fun. That's a dirty lie.
The other thing is, it's not the kind of game where you like get good. It's not like a skill-based game. Like there's a bit of strategy to it, but it's mostly a game where like you got to get lucky with the board you're dealt.
Yeah, exactly. And you have to have good team members. You can't really go it alone. Like, yeah, it just whatever. Yeah. Okay, let's move on. You pick the next.
Empty cloth might be a woman, as in like loincloth, like underwear with no package in it. That's empty cloth. But they said, bro, I want to throw my phone on the cement wall because whatever the F I just saw right now. And that's your ball licking video again, Adam. Adam, I love that it's basically ball licking video comment review at the top of the podcast every time.
It's horrible. I hate it. But the one thing I noticed only put the fan shout outs that was negatively considering me and my videos, but there was one by Kenia Arguer. I don't know. I don't stand a chance. But I made a video about the Dirty Dog firework, and they said they also did one. It wasn't bad. I love that video. It's a little dog. You light its butt, and it's a firework. So it lights, it goes to its butt, and then it's like one of those snakes. Just the normal firework snakes you buy, but it just shoots out this huge long turd, and then at the end there's a firecracker. Real funny. I bought like 40 of them. I'm giving them to everybody. It's like, oh, guess what, kid? You got a B on your math test in fourth grade. Here's a Dirty Dog. Boom, it's awesome.
It's just a weird assessment to be like, oh, that firework is not bad, which I don't really understand like the review of fireworks. Anyways, the next one is from Graham Kelly. This guy is so right. Okay.
That's all you need. That's all we want.
This person wrote us a whole freaking essay on our Puzzling Places review from like 3 years ago. I appreciate it. That's a long comment talking about Puzzling Places. But they basically said, I like the thing they said at the end, that they like VR games a lot because even games that are normally really boring, like Puzzling Places would be, not in VR, are actually really fun in VR. And I think that was a good sentiment. There's a lot of games I'd like to play in VR that I would not care about playing in non-VR.
Yeah, Puzzling Places is, I'd argue, almost like a hidden gem. It's weird to say a puzzle game's a gem, but I mean, it's so fun, especially you get in there with a couple, or not a couple, but you get in there with a buddy and play it. I mean, it's fun. I don't know what to say. It's fun. I'm sorry.
I got a question. Here's a game idea. Developers, have this one for free, but give me royalties. What if there was a Puzzling Places, but it was like bikini babes? You'd be into it.
But it's also variable puzzle size. That's sexism. No, that is sexually objectifying women. Alex, you freaking Scrooge, you jerk. It is time to get into our game that just solidifies the value of women and their potential and their contribution to society. They can save humanity, and 1000 times resist is going to prove it. I'm going to let you lay down the foundation because we need to get into it, man. You pick this game. I want to know your thoughts.
I want to guide this conversation away from Adam's like sexism and woman power talk because it's not something I've taken away from the game, the whole woman power thing that he seems to be taking away from. Are you
nuts? Dude,
we'll get into it later. The game is 1000 times resist or 1000xRESIST. It's all one word. It's published by Fellow Traveler and developed by Sunset Visitor. Very similar names there. I looked up Fellow Traveler. I didn't recognize any other games they published, but they have a handful. Sunset Visitor, I don't think they've made anything else other than this thus far. Game came out in August last year. was nominated for a bunch of awards. It's only $20 on Steam and Nintendo Switch, so there's very little excuse to not
I
play
think
it.
it's appropriately priced, okay? You're not
Oh
getting an
yeah,
incredible deal here, okay?
yeah. It's certainly not a AAA game. I mean, it's indie as hell. But like it's I yeah. $20 is it's appropriately priced. That's a good way of putting it. Yeah, I
Yeah.
would be miffed if there's just like $60. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And so Adam and I think we're both playing it on Steam Deck, right?
Absolutely. I love the Steam Deck.
Yeah, it's so I got a question for you. This game's not super graphically intensive. How long, how many hours can you get out of a fully charged Steam Deck playing this game?
Not many. I was
Yeah,
very
okay.
surprised when I started the game at like 95% on my Steam or something very similar to
Yeah.
battery. And I mean, granted, I got through two chapters, three chapters, but like fairly quickly, it was like 10%. It eats
Yeah.
up the battery. I don't know
I think it
why.
might just not be efficient or something, but yeah, I had the same issue where like I wanted to play more and I couldn't because like I had to go find a charger and
All you
plug
have to
this
do is
thing in.
plug the charger in and play while it's charging. Big
I
deal.
know, but like I didn't have a charger nearby. Yeah, anyways. Okay.
And
I'm
you
glad I'm
hear the Steam Deck chugging.
yeah,
Right?
yeah.
So I mean, maybe it does look nice. The graphics are good. So
Yeah.
maybe it just, most of the games I play honestly are puzzle games like now Tetris will eat it up too. I think the graphics. Maybe it's good enough graphics wise and that's how the Steam Deck is. I don't
Yeah,
know.
it might just be like a really sharp resolution. I mean, there is some like good lighting stuff going on. Anyways, Adam, I want to know your first impressions. Like when I introduced the game to you, when you bought it. I don't know if you watched any trailers before you bought it. Before you played the game, what kind of game did you think it was going to be?
So I wanted to go in fresh. You explained it to me. I obviously knew it was going to be very plot heavy. And just based on what you told me last episode, you also said it was up for some of the categories, not necessarily game of the year, but some of the categories in that awards show. And so I went into it expecting very plot-laden game and something that's, I mean, if it's winning awards, I expect to get shook. But I knew nothing about the concept. I knew nothing about the characters, what it looked like. So I went in fresh.
Yeah, I I'd seen some footage of it, and I thought maybe the character you play as Watcher, and we'll get into that a little bit. She's dressed in like what almost seems like armor, and there's like soldiers and stuff in the game that have like armor. So I thought that there'd be like some shooting, which doesn't really make sense once you start playing the game. But it seemed like there might have been a bit more action to the game. And as much as I've played, there's very little action. Um, I think if I had to describe the game, it's like a visual novel, but without like the 2D characters popping up in front of your face. So
That's perfect. I was going to say that. It's exactly like that.
yeah, which
Is that what you kind of expected, but you thought there would be a little more action, or did that take you by surprise?
it kind of took me by surprise. I thought there was going to be some kind of action just based on what the visuals looked like and like the name. The I think if I had to describe how the game played, it's like this game plays like those sections of Near Automata when you're like on the spaceship at the top and there's like no fighting.
Yeah.
And you're walking around talking to people, like getting plot developed and stuff like that. It's like just that kind of stuff for the most part. Um,
Yeah, so
okay,
for
and
the
then
listeners, if you haven't played it,
yeah,
I mean, I'm halfway through the game. There is no combat. I don't anticipate there ever being combat. I just don't think there is. And then it looks very nice and it's not open world, but it's 3D. It's not a platformer. And you run around, you in the environments, you talk to people, as Alex suggested, it's kind of a graphic novel, but it's not 2D, which I appreciate. I don't know if most graphic novels are 2D. I thought maybe they were, but I could be wrong. So it's I've got thoughts, but I'll hold them until you push a bit
yeah,
more.
it's like somewhere between like a visual novel and like a walking simulator, right? You remember that game we played? Everybody goes to the Rapture.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of like that. Anyways, and then I want to ask you, Adam. We mentioned it briefly. How did you feel about the visuals when you first started playing?
Yeah, I thought they looked good. I'm perfectly fine with those. I think they look good. I think it fits the universe in which this game is in. I've got no issues with them. I think they look very good. They're, I don't know, I don't know the art style you would consider that. Not futuristic. It's
Yeah,
not like ray traced and it looks like, oh, that looks like an actual photograph of a piece of grass or a tree, right? But it has
yeah.
that futuristic, almost comic book style future and graphics. Looks very good. So I like the graphics. I think it's very fitting. I think it's an appropriate art style. Good choice, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's not, it doesn't look like it'd be out of place on like a PlayStation 3 or PlayStation 4. I think the characters themselves have like a little bit of like light cell shading, so they almost look cartoonish, almost. Um, but the thing that struck me the most is, unlike a lot of games, it seems like what they might lack in like, overall graphical fidelity, right? There's no ray tracing. This isn't some like dazzling graphical powerhouse. There's really good cinematography, I think. So like when the game starts, each chapter starts, like the angle they choose when the conversations are taking place, or like how they introduce a chapter, is always pretty like captivating, I think. And it feels more like a movie, at least in the introductions and stuff like that, and in some of the conversations, than it feels like a game. And so I think that does a lot of the heavy lifting in terms of like the visual appeal of the game. But Adam, we played through a handful of chapters, different number of chapters. Our goal was 4 hours so we could discuss it. Somehow you made it much further than I did in 4 hours. So I think we'll go through that. But I did want to do a brief story recap, and I'm going to try to be as light on the spoilers as possible because it is a game that is, all about story. I played through chapter 3. And so,
How about we say, segment one is spoiler free. Segment two, we'll give another warning, but I feel like we need to talk about it a little bit. We're not even halfway through the game, right? There's
yeah.
obviously, we haven't uncovered the biggest spoilers, but I like that idea. But I do want to dive into it more. I don't want to restrict our thoughts.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll give the backdrop because there's details that sound important, but they're like given to you from the get-go.
Uh-huh.
So you are a woman. Your name is the Watcher, which you're named after the role that you play in this society. This society is just a thousand clones of the same woman, and they each have their own different roles. The first chapter you play through is actually you going through the memory of the original woman who everybody's and you're going through the school and you're exploring the school and like what would be the modern day for us. I think it's 2047 is what they say. But you have this weird quirk where you can transport to like 1,000 years in the future or something like that. So you're traveling through time. You're in the same space, but you're in two different time periods of that same space. So in one section, you're walking through as the girl, pretending to be the girl in the school, talking to your classmates. Then you hold down the bumper button and it shifts to like, 100 years in the future, and you're walking through like the dilapidated ruins of the school, and you're using that. It helps you get around obstacles and stuff, and you're trying to find elements and figure out what's going on. Ultimately, you're there because you had a friend named Jiao, this girl, and you're trying to figure out what happened to her, trying to uncover the memory of your original all-mother self, and figure out what in the world's going on with Jiao, this friend of yours, or this friend of hers. Ultimately, throughout this, there's a reference to aliens that have invaded Earth at around this time, and also reference to a disease that either will or has already wiped out humanity based on when you're running around, what time period you're running around. And there's really like five main characters. There's the healer, there's Bang Bang Fire, there's Knower, there's Fixer, and then your Watcher, and then there's a Principal. And then there's also like the All Mother, Iris, the original one. Um, but they're all clones of the same person, right? So you're talking to yourself in some sense, but they all have kind of different personalities. Do you think that covers the basis for the most part? You're basically trying to meet with all of your cohorts and kind of uncover, what is going on with the All Mother, why, what is her motivations, what were the events that led up to where you currently are?
Yeah, I think that is pretty good highlight. One thing that struck me from the beginning of the game, I was very confused in the beginning. Not so much so that you think you're missing things. It was intentional to be pretty confused in the very beginning. The absolute first screen and event is just this random blue-haired chick walks up to this black-haired chick and stabs her in the back. And you're
Yeah.
like, okay. And then you find out after a transition screen, you're playing as the blue-haired chick whose name is Watcher. So you I think the big thing in the beginning, they kind of let you know soon, within an hour, you're trying to figure out Iris, this all mother, the person you feel like something's going on there,
Yeah.
right? Like the society that's built, they see her as a god, they've given her life, and she is perfect, right? Like she's like a god. But there's a little bit of trepidation and you want to dig a little deep. Like there's something that doesn't sit right, and you're trying to explore a bit more of her life. And the reason I guess you're the watcher is because you are observing and learning parts of her life. And so just by your job class, you're seeing things that maybe the others wouldn't see. And that's where you start to be like, huh, some things are a little fishy. So at least in the first half, I don't know about you, that was the main plot device that pushes you forward and motivates the player into caring at all about the plot, the characters of the game in general.
Yeah, I mean, you reminded me that at the beginning, the beginning of like the first chapter, you have that intro scene where, your character stabs somebody in the back. And then it cuts to you at like a bus stop with your friend slash sister, um, known as Fixer. And the thing she says is kind of like, listen, like you don't really know what's going on. You should probably figure out what's going on, but I got to get out of here. Um, One thing I realized like immediately that kind of stuck with me was the writing of the game, like the dialogue in the game. Um, my issue with most visual novels and story-based games like this is that the dialogue is overwrought. There's just a lot of talking. This, although the gameplay is primarily talking, the conversations don't seem like inflated, right? It's like, it's one sentence from this person, one sentence from this person, and back and forth. They're pretty quick and pretty snappy. But the things they say are always like just a little bit weird. They drop just enough details for you to be like, oh, that's kind of weird. I wonder what that's about. And so, to your point, yeah, it's like something's off, something's different, something's weird. And they do like kind of a drip feed to slowly feed you more information about what's going on. And I think that's like the primary driver, at least for me playing through these chapters, is like, okay, they're saying weird stuff like when the girls talk to each other, they say hair to hair or red to blue
Yeah.
and stuff like that. It's like, what the heck does that mean? And as you play through, you slowly start to understand why they're saying these things. And I think that's a good motivation. But I think it's a testament to the writing that like just the dialogue alone is kind of a driving force for the game of like, I want to know why they're saying the things they're saying. I want to know what they're going to say next because there's probably going to be a morsel in that conversation that kind of moves me along. I don't know. Did you have that feeling at all? Is there mystery from the conversation or is it boring?
I guess there is some mystery, but you know what, Alex? We've been nice. Let's just get into it. Let's get into it. I think you're right on all accounts and what the game is trying to achieve, and in some way, definitely has achieved. However, do you like the choices that they made?
Do I?
Yeah.
So far, yeah. I mean, here's an interesting thing they do. They will give you in the conversations every once in a while they'll give you an option of how you want to respond. It'll be like three things that you can respond with. And from what I gather, almost none of the responses matter. And the responses you can choose from really just kind of serve to give you an idea of the potential headspace the main character is in. So it'll be like, somebody will say hair to hair to you. You can respond to that and be like, glory to the All Mother or um, red to blue or something like you have nothing to go with to make an informed decision about what you're going to say. But ultimately, it doesn't matter because you're not in a position to have a choice on what to say. You're in this society where everybody has to be worshiping All Mother. And so I thought that was an interesting element where you don't, one, you're picking one out of three. And so you had this tension of like, I'm going to be missing out on something if I say the wrong thing. But two, you can't say the wrong thing and you're not missing out on anything. I thought that was an interesting element to it. Um, and yeah, I like the writing. It's pretty snappy. The voice acting I think is great. It's one of the few times in a game where I don't find myself skipping through the voice acting. Maybe that's why you got so much further in the game because I'm actually listening to the performances. Because I think they're done pretty well. How about you, Adam? Are you liking the talking and the dialogue?
This is one of the more boring games I have ever played. Now I'm not saying it's bad, right?
Yeah, I know.
It's just boring. The voice acting is really it's appropriate, but it's weird. It's almost like I don't know how to describe it. I should have thought of a good way to describe it because I knew I wanted to talk about this. It's not like you and I who are fully pronunciating and we have a little bit of accent based on where we're from, but we have a fully fledged voice and pronunciation. These are like almost robots kind of talking, or like maybe people who are really shy. It reminds me of shy people talking, where
Yeah,
they
yeah,
they say words, but they say it really low, and then at the end of the sentence, they kind of just like it ends like a wet fart rather than like
yeah,
a hard statement, which again I think is on purpose. So it's
yeah.
well done, but I just don't like that. It annoys me. And just something's weird about it. I guess I've gotten used to it. It's fine.
No,
But the
that's a good point because you do have that robot that follows you, and it's like a little boy, and everything he says is really subdued and stuff, right? Because you'll be in the world and you'll see like fish in a fish tank, and he'll just be like, "These are two organisms swimming." And you're like, "Oh, what are they doing? Are they trying to escape?" And escape's probably not going to be good for them. And it's just like a very like flat, unenthusiastic thing. And to your point, like robots talking, these are clones of the same woman. For thousands of years, it's been the same person talking to themselves over and over again. Although I do think it's nice that, the five main characters all kind of have a little bit of a different personality. I think they have different voice actors. I can't be 100% certain. They sound different enough to me to where I could probably pick them out if I heard them talking only without seeing the visuals. But yeah, you're not wrong. It's if you really need to have action and excitement in the voice acting, this isn't going to do it. But I think there's accuracy in the voice acting.
and the accuracy or the voice acting isn't what kills me. It's the just there's it's just boring. Like you just walk around and talk to people. That's it.
That
And
is that is the game.
the plot to this point, I'll go a little further in the second segment. I will keep this spoiler free. I feel it's hard to say. I feel like I've hit one of the major twists, but it wasn't super significant. It wasn't enough to make me be like, dang, I gotta keep playing. It's just here's the thing, Alex. It is admittedly, one of the more unoffensive games that you have made me play. We have a list, and I should have brought it up. I apologize. Where is the list of the games that you and I have played for this podcast?
I have no
Because
idea.
I
On
want to.
YouTube with our channel?
No, you made a Excel sheet and you had all the games in there. Regardless, here it is. Maybe this is a game list that we want
This is what we're going to play.
nuts. Okay, so you've made me play some pretty crappy games, let's be honest. This game
Silent Hill
admittedly
2, was that crappy?
is pretty inoffensive, right? This game by no means is bad. I'm saying it's boring, but it's not bad. They are executing on what they want to do. Silent Hill pained me to play. Like it was not fun. It was infuriating. Helldivers 2 was all right. But for a game that's supposed to be fun, it wasn't fun. This is doing its job, in my opinion, better than Helldivers 2 did. What other garbage have you made me play?
Behemoth?
Behemoth, average. Like it wasn't bad, but again, I think this is better than that game in doing the
Plucky
job.
Squire?
That one we picked on ourselves. I'm not going to put that on you.
Yeah,
That game
yeah.
sucked. So, I mean, in general, I guess I don't know. For
No,
games that
so I
you
think
pick, it's okay, but I'm just struggling with how boring it is. Like there's also moments where they tell you go talk to your sisters and you can't find them. You haven't hit it yet. There's one point where I had to look it up. I spent 20 minutes walking around being like they say go to the grave behind the flowing water. And I'm like, okay,
Oh
so
yeah, I know where that is.
where?
It's in the map. You have a map, you know.
Yeah.
But it is funny. The map is like zero good because it's
It,
drawn on a piece of. It's a kid's drawing on a piece of paper,
yeah.
and there were numerous times where it's like, "Oh, I must be near. Where am I?" And I blew past on the other side of the map.
Here
Um,
you go, big boy. You know where it is. Are you gonna put a bean on it? Do you think put your money where your mouth is, big boy?
yeah, it's in the orchard. It's on the left hand side of the map. There's the two circles in the map. It's on the left hand side in the middle with all the trees.
Wrong. Yeah, I know, but you're right. The common sense area, yeah, that's where you would be. No, it's over it is on the first floor, but there's a little open area where there's statues on the right side. You go through one of their vaginas, and that's where it's at.
Oh, I can't wait
Horrible.
to get to that point. I
Oh,
can't
it's
wait to get to that
horrible. It's
point.
horrible. How would you know that? Anyhow, that type of stuff drives me nuts. For the most part, you know what you're doing. In the very beginning part of the game where you were talking about right off the bat, you are in a school and the school is arranged in which kind of the gimmick here is that you move around, but you get blocked. There's, for
Yeah,
example, the detention room that you need to get into, but in your current time period, it's blocked because there's stuff
there's
falling
like
over
filing
and
cabinets.
rocks.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you hit tab and you go back in time to where the All-Mother's time is. Now it's an actual school, the doors are open, you can walk into that room, and then you switch back to your current time. So that's kind of that puzzle gimmick, which, I mean, when I first went through it, I was like, it's not that bad. There was some engagement, right? You
Yeah.
had to, it forced you to engage. But then they never used that again. Like, not that same dynamic. Did you think it was going to be more of a puzzle game?
Yeah, I mean, especially with that level, it seemed like it was going to be more of a puzzle game. What I'm getting hints of now, though, after playing three chapters, is it almost feels like Nier, without the combat, in the sense that like every chapter is a different kind of game. So like that first one we talked about, it's kind of almost a puzzle thing, like you're exploring an environment. Then the next one is like a first person adventure game, kind of, but really it's a walking simulator where like you can't really do much. You just walk around your small little apartment for many, many days, jumping through time and seeing what's happening with your family in that apartment. And then the third chapter is like a side scroller. Like it's a side scroller. You're not exploring, you're just walking left and right, looking at different things in different time periods. And so it's almost like Nier, right? Where they're shaking it up a little bit, but again, none of it's like super exciting or super engaging. But what you mentioned that like it's inoffensive, right? And I think to me, somebody who's really liking it, the better way of saying it is it's not a chore. It's not a chore to play. A lot of visual novels I play, I it's a chore to get the story going. Like I might be interested in the story, but the dialogue is a chore to get through. This game like drops what it needs to say and it does it, with enough style to keep things fresh. And then you're talking, you're moving, and you're not getting this overwrought dialogue, this overwrought explanation of everything. And I think that's what makes it fresh. It's an easy game to play, which is exactly what I want for like a visual novel.
Let me put it this way. I play 40 minutes of this every night before I go to bed, and when I'm finished, I sleep like a baby.
Yeah, I know.
Is
Another
that what
thing,
you want?
a better way of saying that is it's very, very much like reading a book. Very much like reading a book. And I think there's important elements as to why I think that's good and why it needed to be a game and not just a book. And we can talk about that in the next segment. But okay, so hopefully people get an idea of like the premise of the game and some of the gameplay. Let's take a break, Adam, and then we'll
Oh,
come
I'm
back.
not, I'm
We'll
not, I'm not done. I want to milk this for all it's worth. That is, I think, a perfect analogy here, Alex. It is like a book. And admittedly, maybe if you like reading, maybe if you're like Alex, this is what you want. You want a game to make you fall asleep. Then I think you're going to like the game, right? I am excited. Next segment, I do want to dive deeper into the plot elements that we kind of stepped aside in this segment. So if you're interested, we won't say any big spoilers, but we are going to go a little bit more in detail in the next segment. I will say the farther I've gotten maybe I've gotten used to it, but it's made me less sleepy, I guess. Like really, the first 3 hours, I was like, this is one of the most boring games I've ever played in my life. Like, yeah, maybe the plot is like okay, and maybe yeah, it's somewhat interesting, and there'll be twists, but it doesn't change the fact that it's so boring. And then like the last hour, hour and a half I played, it was like okay, some stuff happened. I was like, maybe it's not like horribly boring, but it
Have
just
you have you ever read a book that you wanted to stay awake to finish reading or keep reading? Like you literally couldn't
House
put
of
down?
Leaves.
House of Leaves.
It's the
Yeah.
book about a house whose inner dimensions are greater than the outer ones.
Didn't I recommend that to you? Or
No,
did you recommend it to me?
I think I recommended it to you. We
My
know the
wife
person
read
who
it.
recommended it to me, Derek. He
Oh,
had it and gave it to me, and it was rocked my world. Incredible. Read that book. Don't play this game. How about that's my recommendation? The book's incredible. Serious, and I hate reading. Despise it. All the pages, the some words are different colors, which have symbolism, and then some of the pages have no words at all. Other ones, there's like the words are in different shapes. It's really cool. Alex, I'm
do you,
excited. I want to
I
jump. Yeah, let's go to the ring because I want to jump into the plot. I want to see you haven't leaked on whether you like this or not. So I'm
I just want to say one thing. House of Leaves, the guy that I follow who made me interested in 1000 Times Resist recently just released a video essay on House of Leaves and how much he loves it. Um,
wow.
so that's kind of a interesting,
That is insane. No way.
yeah, yeah. So
I also am very intrigued that I finished the game or not the game. I finished where the 20%. I mean, I played a little more and I looked there's not many videos on it and not many opinions, but the opinions that are strong.
yeah,
They're like, this is one of the best games, best stories I've ever heard in my life.
yeah.
Something big has got to happen because I don't see it. Or their expectations are low. I don't
I
know.
mean, think about the first 20% of Near Automata and then how that changes after you play through, the
Yeah,
first two
but
endings.
it was a good game.
No, Nier Automata had the gameplay to back it up, but I'm just saying if you're looking alone at story, you can't judge the story of Nier Automata based off the first 20% of it.
I'd argue Nier Automata has a better first 20%.
If you're just
Story,
talking story,
ignore the gameplay. Ignore the gameplay. We'll
maybe.
talk about it after the break. We need to go to it.
Yeah.
Let's do it, baby. I'm ready.
All right, we'll see you after the break.
Welcome back to Gaming is in Session. This is segment 2 of 1000 Times Resist. Alex, before we jump in back into the game, there is something that burns my buns. I, like many Americans, work until 5 o'clock, right? That's quitting time. I hate it when someone shows up or has a question or reaches out to you at like 4:50 and they say, hey, I know it's late, but I've got some questions. Trust me, I'll be quick. Here's the thing. Quickly go into the exit because I do not want to be here, lady. I'm not going to answer your questions. I want to be hitting on gym girls. I want to be playing video games. I want to be meeting Alex's mom at a Jersey Mike's. I am not going to sit here and answer your Karen-esque question. This is not an NBA basketball game. We're not playing till the buzzer. Get the heck out of here. I hate that. You're the type of guy who walks in. You're the type of guy that walks in for a pre-order at 9:55 when GameStop closes at 10, aren't you, Alex? You look like the problem.
Definitely. If you're open for business, I'm bringing my business to you, baby.
I hate you. What is the limit? Let's say realistically, not an entertainer for the people, not a content creator right now. Let's say a store closes at 10 o'clock. What is the latest that you would go in?
10 o'clock, baby.
I hate you.
If the answer, hold on, no. If the answer is not 10 o'clock, then why don't you tell me what the damn answer is and then shut the store at that time? All right? I went to a Subway once at like 9:55 or something thinking I'm going to late night food. I was busy all day. I go in at like 9:55. Turns out they close at like 10. I think they even closed at like 10:30. They had plenty of time. And they're like, no, we already put all the bread away. Like, well, what the hell are you doing letting me walk into the store? You think I'm going to come in here and buy 20 cookies? Shut the door, turn off the lights, and then shut down the store. Just because a store closes at 10, I know the workers stay there a little bit later. Okay, tell me that the store closes at 9:30 and then do all your prep work.
So you're telling me you like it if you work till 5, 6, whatever, and someone reaches out at 4:58, you're like, oh, awesome. I'm still open for business. I don't mind.
I'm honest with them and I say, hey, guess what? You got 5 minutes. If it's not done by then, I'll talk to you next business day.
I'm not buying that you do that.
I think you just don't have the balls to be like, no. Sorry, no, I can't do anything right now. You gotta be honest.
Bullcrap.
You brought something up. Gym girl update. You got anything?
No.
I think every time we record and you don't have a gym girl update, that's gonna be a bean.
That's not true.
That's gonna be a bean.
We have been iced in for half of it. Can't even get in the gym if I wanted. They've closed it. Now I have gone a couple times.
That sounds like prime gym girl time.
If there's no talent in the gym, what am I supposed to do? Today I went to the gym at 2 o'clock because I went for my lunch break. There's nothing but like old geezers in there, which I'm fine. I love old geezers, right? But
I'll take Jim Geezer update.
Oh, you want Jim Geezer update? Okay. Well,
let me guess. Were they also in high school?
I didn't ask. Maybe. Unbelievable. Oh, I hate that. Alex, we need to hop back into this game because I'm excited to jump into some of the plot points. Again, this segment we're going to get a little more into it. So if you want to go in fresh, do not listen. But you have a quiz for me, huh?
I got a quiz for you, yeah, and I'm curious as to what, because I don't think you're playing this game closely enough, and I think that's why you don't enjoy the story. But Adam, I got 5 questions.
I thought that until you couldn't even remember how the beginning of the game started. You couldn't remember the first scene after the opening scene. You couldn't tell me where the graveyard behind the waterfalls were. So, let's see.
All right. Okay, Adam, here's how it's going to go. I got 5 questions for you.
If you get 3 right, they don't need to know the rules. Answer the question.
It's a bit different. You get 3 right, I eat a bean. You get 5 right, I eat 2 beans. You get 2 right, you eat a bean. You get less than 2 right, you got to eat 2 beans.
Bring it on.
All right, question number 1. Question number 1. What does Iris's dad do for a job?
Mother. What? This is so unrealistic. This is stupid. What?
It's mentioned like 8 times in chapter 2.
Here's the issue. I played the game a week and a half ago because I actually played the game.
Oh, is that my fault? No.
You wait until the very last minute.
What does he do, Adam? What did you do for a job or start coughing up a bean? What does he do for a job?
I don't even get multiple choice?
No, guess. It's obvious.
It is not obvious.
What do you think he does? What do you think he does for a job? You meet him in chapter 2.
Yeah, and I just finished chapter 5. Guess what? That's a long time away, buddy. What did he do?
Listen to him stalling.
I mean, I should be.
Muy muy.
Her mom was a jerk too.
Muy muy. I'm home from work. What do I do for a job, Mui Mui? He calls his daughter Mui Mui.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they make food, but I don't think he was a chef. I don't know, chef.
He's a noodle salesman.
Yes, that's a chef.
Mm.
Making noodles is making food, dude.
I'm gonna
What?
I'm gonna put an asterisk next to that.
How would I? I'm not from Japan. I never lived there like you. How am I supposed to know that a noodle seller wasn't a chef? So what? Someone else makes the noodles and you go door to door selling noodle? What are you,
I
a
think it's like a
noodle
food
man?
truck. I think it was a food truck. Anyways, I put an asterisk. Maybe that's okay.
How is it?
Adam,
I got it right.
stop it. We gotta move, Adam. What country did Iris's family come from and go to?
Korea.
And what country did they go to?
Oh, I forgot about that. Oh, frick. What country are they in? Why do I have to get both right? That's two questions. That's bullcrap.
Do you want me to
Um,
make that? Do you want me to? How about this? If you get both right, then we can make that the two questions. You want to skip the chef?
no, I got the chef correct. I get
Okay, no.
credit.
Here's I'll take one of the questions away. We'll make this two questions. So they came from Korea,
Yeah, they
and
did.
they go to where?
I don't think it's America.
That's two wrong answers, Adam. They came from Hong Kong and they live in Canada.
Wait, is Hong Kong in Korea?
Hong Kong is a different country.
Mother effer,
Is
boss.
Hong Kong is Hong Kong not in Korea?
That's one question. You intended it as one question.
You agreed to making it two questions.
The next question. This is rigged.
What are the aliens called in the game?
This one I should know.
Yeah.
Um, starts with an O, but I can't remember it. I literally played this game a week and a half ago. Like in chapter 4, you walk up to one of the you chapter 4 you interact with them, and
Yeah.
I can't
I
remember
bet you
their
do.
name.
I bet you do.
I just hate you. I should know it. I mean, this one's my bad. The last one was unfair. This one's fair, and I effed up. It's not the outbreak. It's
Time's up, Adam. I counted
I
down
don't
from
know.
10.
Yeah.
The answer, you ready for the answer?
Yeah.
The occupants.
Oh, that's right, dude. Dang it. Oh, I was right. It started with an O. Dang it. That's my bad though. That's my bad.
All right. So that's four questions, right?
That's pretty effing weak, dude.
Okay, I'll give you a bonus question to make things up. Okay, here's one. What was Zhao's nickname?
You, when we played Pokemon, I was nice. I gave you a chance. You're picking stuff. What is this crap? She
They mentioned
pretended.
it like three times.
What?
It's a big deal. It's like one of the major plot elements of Zhao. It's why Zhao had this like falling out or was so upset with
Yeah,
Iris.
she was like a mini Iris, but I don't remember her freaking nickname.
She said, "I eat so much, you should just call me."
Oh, that's right.
And
Garbage can, garbage compactor, something garbage, trash can.
I need an answer, Adam.
It's
Say
one of
it.
those.
No, say something and then say that's my final answer.
I hate you. So I was right, but which one was? It wasn't trash compactor. That's too long. Was it trash can or garbage can?
Trash
Garbage
compactor.
can. Garbage can.
That's your final answer?
Yes.
It is dumpster Zhao. Dumpster
Mother,
Zhao.
dang it! Son of a. Well, I'm eating a bean.
Okay, yeah, you're eating a bean. You got at least one right, and I was impressed that you got chef right.
What was see? These are so on. What was the other one? I'm just curious. Very
It was going
quickly.
to be what is the developer's name? Because I forgot it like seven times trying to remember it, and you said it right off the bat. What is the developer's name of the game? Don't look at the script.
The developer.
Yeah, the people who made the game.
I don't
You
remember.
said it. You already said it. You
I
said
don't
it.
remember which is which.
You said it at the top. That's
Thankfully, I
why.
only have to eat one bean.
That's why the developer is Sunset Visitor,
Yeah.
and the
And the other
publisher
one's
is
fellow
Fellow.
traveler, but I
And I
couldn't
kept
remember
calling
which
it
one.
Sunset Traveler. Yeah,
Couldn't remember. So stupid. Didn't matter. I was eating one. I eat one bean, right?
yeah.
Thank God for Chef. Still, that's bullcrap. Pokemon, I was real nice to you. You came at me with these
No, I was nice to
detailed.
you. I was nice to you because I limited it to just the generations that you
No!
knew intimately. What is it?
Stink
What is
bug.
it?
Stink bug.
Stink bug. Yeah, you deserve the stink bug. Adam, while you cough down a stink bug, I'm going to go into the plot a little bit for the 3 chapters we played. Give a brief synopsis here. That's right. You earned it. You earned it. You little
This is
dumpster.
this
That's
is
what you get for your
blank.
sexism, Adam.
This is
Um, so,
blank.
so the story is the major
Oh,
element of 1000xRESIST. Chapter one, you meet Fixer at like a bus stop train station. She's leaving and she's telling you, "Hey, you might need to watch out and figure out, what's going on.
oh.
Don't trust what's happening here." And then you go off to do your communion, which is where you're going through like viewing the memories of Iris. Um, the memories here are at a school, and you're visiting memories at 2 different times. One is when you were a student, and then one is after this pandemic hit. Most everybody's
I don't
dead.
want to go through the whole thing. I want to talk about the thing, man.
Yeah, I gotta lay it out so people know what we're talking
I
about.
don't
Most
want
everybody's
you to
dead.
lay. I want to talk about it. People want to hear us talk. What do we think about it?
Okay, what do you think about chapter one, Adam?
Chapter one. Here's the thing. I actually liked the way they presented the issue. It
Yeah.
wasn't so on the nose, but it clearly Fixer gave us some stuff that was like, dog, you should think about it. And I like that because, plot-based game, it clued me in. Iris might not be who she thinks she is.
And you
And
learned that. You learned that in the chapter as you're going through because when you're playing as Iris in the school, what you're doing is trying to find Zhao, right? You're trying to find Zhao and figure out what happened to her. And as you go through, you find out, oh, Zhao just really likes you. You're like her only friend because you are an Asian immigrant, and she's the only other Asian immigrant in the school, and she really relates to you.
it's
And
very similar to our relationship.
yeah, yeah,
You're dumpster Zhao, and I'm Iris. You also find out Iris is I mean, excuse me, this isn't sexist, but she's a dick.
Yeah, she
I
is. No,
mean,
that's the point of that chapter, right? Is that
yeah.
you start the chapter being told All Mother's great, Iris is perfect. We got to do everything she says because she knows what she's doing and it's wonderful. And then you get into chapter one and you're walking around as Iris and you find out she's talking trash about Zhao. She's smoking in the bathroom. She's a total B to her friends that need her. She's not necessarily a good person. Now, she's not a bad person per se because I mean she's just a teenage girl in a rough situation who is trying to fit in, and she has this like hanger on in Zhao who's kind of making her look ostracized with her friends. But yeah, and so then you get to the end of chapter one. Although another thing I'll say is the other timeline that you're in, with you're walking around the dilapidated building with the soldiers, and even they're like they don't really like you. You talk to those soldiers, and they're like, "All right, you're the reason we're here. What did you want? What the hell are we doing here? Yeah, this is stupid." Um, and so you get this kind of idea that like nobody likes her. I don't know. She's not a
She's a jerk. I really like the way they laid it out. Yeah,
yeah.
because now not to say that it's exciting, it's still boring, but they laid out the quandary very well. You're told that this person is like a god, and then you find out, at least by human standards, she's kind of a jerk.
Yeah,
And
she's kind of a jerk. She's pretty fallible, right? She's like just a person, right? A person.
and it it only goes downhill from there.
Yeah.
The other thing, I'll let you keep going through the chapters, but you need to let me know, should I talk about chapter four, or even for
Do not
you?
talk about chapter four. Yeah.
Great. So what? You want to keep playing this, don't you?
So you get to the end of chapter one. I won't say exactly what happens. You find out what's going on with Zhao, but you get to the end of chapter one and you run into Fixer, who's your sister, and she has come back. When you last saw her, she was on the train. Apparently, these girls, these women, when they reach a certain age, they get called and they leave the city and they never come back. It's supposed to be like this great thing. She has come back. She's come back and she's found you and she said, "Whoa, you don't really believe that All Mother is good, do you? You don't think she's great. She's awful. This is bad news." and you turn her in. You alert her, you alert the authorities to her, and they incinerate her and kill her for being treasonous. Um, yeah, so that's kind of sets a stage of like, okay, there's something going on here. I gotta watch my step, and not get myself in trouble because I just you get the sense that Fixer and Watcher are kind of like of the five main girls. It's like they're best friends. Like they were the only she was the only one that showed up to watch Fixer leave. So they have a close bond, but Watcher was willing to throw her under the bus to save her own skin. Um, yeah, and so then you get back to the base, and the principal, who's like a red lady, she just says, "All right, you got to go talk to the other sisters. You got to, based off what just happened, you need to go commune with the other sisters, which means walk through memories with the other sisters. Um, did, you have to go to Bang Bang Fire next, right?
I believe so.
I think they tell you to talk to her
He
next.
explicitly says talk to Bang Bang. But
Okay,
before
yeah.
you do that, what do you think about her throwing her buddy under the bus? I mean, at that point, you knew that she was close to you. I
Yeah.
didn't quite, either I've forgotten or I didn't know if Watcher knew what would happen to Fixer.
I don't think
By
she did. Yeah, I don't think she knew what would happen because shortly after, like the principal announces, like, "Hey, this is what just happened. Everybody needs to know what just happened. That Fixer was a traitor." And they have these child's drawings on the ceiling. They say Fixer was a traitor, and this is what happened to the traitor, and she was incinerated. And then they reiterate that, like, she was burned. Here's what it looks like. Here's what it looked like later. Here's what it looks like when it's just her bones. And they really hammer home she got incinerated. And Watcher said something to the fact, like, "You really incinerated her? Like that's what happened?" So I don't think she knew what would happen, but yeah, it was kind of a dick move. Um, and
so
I
you
think it
you
was
think hmm, I think it set up the quandary of it motivated Watcher to investigate the entire system because she felt like that was unfair and she felt personally convicted that she did something wrong and killed her best friend.
yeah.
But for, yeah, it makes sense why they did it. I don't know if I like, did you like that plot element they threw in there?
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense because there's a bit of complexity of Watcher's situation, right? She's in this more or less totalitarian, authoritative regime of the All-Mother dictating what everybody does. And so she's in this quandary, right? Do I save my best friend and get out of town? Like, I think Fixer wanted you to go with her or something like that. And so I was like, I either go with her or I stay here. If I stay here, then Fixer's under the bus. And so she's like, I can go into the unknown, potentially get wrecked, and break all the rules that I grew up knowing I'm not supposed to break, or I can, my friend gets in trouble and then we're good. Like I'm still good because I'm doing the right thing. So she was just trying to do the right thing from everything she grew up knowing. Turns out it got her friend incinerated. Um,
Makes me think, it makes me not like Watcher.
right, right, right. It's
There's
weak.
some things that obviously, like, I don't know. If you murdered someone, I'm like, dang, man. Like, I'd probably have to turn you in, right? But
Yeah.
if you just went and you know, I don't know, banged my brother's mom or something, it's like, okay,
That'd be your mom.
I'm not gonna tell anybody, right? So, like, yeah, like, why rat? No one likes a rat.
I don't think she had a choice. It was either rat or go with Fixer.
No, she had a choice. She could have not gone with Fixer and just not said it. It was nothing but words. No one
Hmm.
would have known because they communed together and Fixer took you into this, little world place. But when you got back, no one knew.
Don't they review it? Don't they watch it or something like that?
I
Either
don't
way,
think because then like they were even celebrating Watcher like you did the right thing by turning her in. But if I made me not like Watcher very much.
yeah, yeah,
Stick up for
yeah.
your friends, bro.
Yeah. Then the next chapter, you go around, you see this environment. I thought this was funny, Adam. You look at the map of the environment you're in, this like overworld you're in, this base you're in. It's the two spheres, right? And
Uh-huh.
then there's the train station that you leave and you never come back. Knowing that they're all twins, more or less, with slight variation, Doesn't this have like a kind of a sexual reproductive theme, like two testicles and you're all a bunch of sperm swimming around until you get chosen to be ejected?
Absolutely not.
I mean, I think they even say the verbiage used for when you leave is like ejected or emitted or something like that. There was a phrase that I saw on the map of like how you leave. It I think there's a metaphor there.
Textbook sexism. I mean, obviously, I haven't finished the game. I do not. I don't. I never caught that. I don't think that's a thing.
All right, we'll finish the game
But
and find out.
okay, you're
Turns
right.
out this is 1000 xRESIST. The battle for sperm is what it is. Adam, chapter two. This takes place almost entirely. You're with Bang Bang Fire, walking through Iris's memories of more or less growing up in her uh, childhood home in Canada after her parents recently immigrated. You get a little bit of hints here and there how her mother and father met. Um, they were coming from Hong Kong when there was like a brutal some regime taking over and beating up protesters and stuff like that. So they left to Canada to get a better life for their family. And then you like the very first thing you encounter is you're in your room packing stuff up to leave while your mom is banging on the door telling you not to leave. And you just kind of look at your stuff and you get comments here and there, but then you're flashing back to different memories. But the big takeaways is like your mom is like sleepwalking sometimes, and she's having flashbacks to the totalitarian regime beating on her dad. Your dad's trying to hold the family together by being like a nice guy and being polite to everybody, but also being really nice to you because he knows you're in a tough situation. Um, but then
You missed
ultimately you find
a huge point that you kind of. I'm not even saying you glossed over it. You ignored it completely.
I'm not done.
Okay.
The big thing that comes around is that you kind of you get bits here and there from their conversation that like oh there's like aliens and there's like a disease or something, and then these soldiers that you saw in the first chapter show up to your house and say hey we got to take Iris because she was the only one in the school who survived. She's immune. We got to figure out what's going on. We could save everybody if we take her. And her mom fights adamantly to say no, she's not going with us. She's not going with you. She's staying here. And you ultimately choose to go. Um, so that the big point you're talking about?
No. I mean that's certainly one of them, but that's you miss I think a pretty big plot point. When you pack up to leave, there's a vibrator on the bed.
Uh, yeah, and you try to pick it up
Totally
and
caught me off guard. I was
yeah.
like, that doesn't fit in the game whatsoever. Like, if there weren't a vibrator there, it would mean nothing. Like, it wouldn't change the game at all. Like, why?
So what it does is it sets like an age range for because you're jumping through the different time periods, and at one point she is like a very young kid because at one point you're walking through the empty apartment and everything's taller and you're smaller, so she was there as a kid, and then at this point when she's packing up and leaving, she's more or less an adult. She's at least post-pubescent. Um, so much so to where she might have a vibrator. But it is funny that you try to pack it up. She says, "No, I'm going to leave it here. It's going to freak my mom out."
Yeah, it's fairly humorous.
Yeah.
So my thoughts here is I don't have the answer. Game's not over. One thing I do not like about games, and a lot of games do it, is someone has immunity, one of the main characters, and there's really no reason why. It's just they're special. Why? Why is Ellie in The Last of Us? What makes her immune that no one else is? Like, there's gotta be a reason. I hate all these games who are just, there's no answer. I guess the answer is they got lucky and their genetics are good. Her parents'
So
genetics aren't good. Like, I hate that, right?
Adam, being the person who railed against evolution, obviously doesn't understand random mutations. I mean, there's real life examples of this, right? You've heard of Henrietta Lacks. Do you remember Henrietta Lacks?
No, I don't know who
She's
that
the
is.
she's the progenitor, the woman who we get HeLa cells from. She had a random mutation that nobody else we know has, where her cells do not what's the word undergo senescence. Her telomeres don't shrink. So they took blood samples. She had a type of cancer, but her cells never died, and so they can endlessly reproduce. And we've had endless medical advances due to the fact that we can constantly cultivate, clone, and make more of her blood cells without running out because they never senesce. That's a great example of this happening in real life. So I don't think it's a lazy plot point. It also could be totally true that other people have this. They just haven't encountered it because they might have died through other means.
I've
And
never heard of that woman. And two, if that's the case, fine, but explain it. They don't explain. And no, you don't need to go on that freaking nerd crap you just went into, but there's got to be a reason, and they don't. And it's not just this game, and this game may answer it. I don't
yeah,
know. They haven't yet, but they might answer it. So I'm not, that's not a criticism on this game yet. I'm just saying if they follow a lot of the games, it's just that person's special. And I hate that plot point. It's have a reason. Hong Kong had some special gas she ingested as a school, like
so
something.
this is funny that you're demanding a special reason for something, yet you play Kingdom Hearts and you don't care that just Disney's walking around with Final Fantasy with literally no reason, just because the characters look cute together.
What are you talking about? No, they are, each world is, I guess you mean the Final Fantasy. I mean, that's just a marketing ploy. I mean, I don't know what
Oh,
to tell you.
okay, so there doesn't have
Yeah.
to be a reason if they're trying to make money.
No, no.
That's stupid. No, that's stupid. That's what the plot for Kingdom Hearts sucks.
But the plot to Kingdom Hearts has nothing to do with the Final Fantasy characters. That's
The
just
plot for
like
King the plot of Kingdom Hearts is entirely, ooh, I just love it so much. I just love him so much. There's no real reason why Sora is good about stuff. He just loves his friend so damn hard. Okay, let's say that Iris just loves being alive so damn hard she doesn't get sick. Then we have the exact same plot reason.
say that, and I'm okay with it.
Well, I say
But
it, and there you go.
but you're not the developers. You're not the game.
Nevertheless, other important things you see in this thing is that she had a pet hamster. And at some point, she went into like a blind rage and microwaved the hamster and killed it. They just kind of mention it a bit, but it gives you insight into Iris, the All-Mother, having this like weird psychopathic violent tendencies. Um, you ultimately do leave and go with the soldiers, but you come back at some point to go see your family, and you find out that your dad has left. And I don't know if he killed himself because your mom says something to the effect of like, "I guess you're not afraid of heights anymore." I don't know if he jumped off the balcony, but the very next scene is you doing that thing where you fly down and you jump from waypoint to waypoint, and you're surrounded by airplanes. So my assumption is he got on a plane and he hightailed it out of Canada, maybe back to Hong Kong, because that's what they need to do to escape and survive. Um, but yeah,
I
any
hate
other?
those things where you just fly point to point.
I think
It
it's a nice change of pace for what's happening because it sets up a meeting you're going to have that's going to be really important. Like that, you know that the next dialogue thing you hit is like a pivotal dialogue moment. There's going to be a big shift in what's happening. But yeah, I mean, it's not super fun. It's just kind of a nice break of pace for a minute.
just give me just give me the next plot point. I mean,
Did you
if you're not gonna make it fun, don't waste my time at least, right?
did you
And
like this chapter at all?
no, I didn't.
To me, this was the most affecting chapter. This was the chapter that to me was like, this is why this wouldn't work as a book. Um, because in this, I'm walking around as Iris and I'm seeing what happened through Iris's eyes in a way that a book wouldn't do it for me. And I'm not making choices or anything, but I'm living in this 3D space and growing up with her mom and dad and the difficult situation. And it really engendered a lot of empathy that I otherwise wouldn't have for, I'm not an immigrant. I'm not an immigrant from another family trying to fit in and stuff like, or from another country trying to fit in. And it kind of gave me insight into how that might feel. This, this chapter, when I finished it, put me in an amazing mood. I was like, wow, I'm really witnessing a great story. And it also, this is like reading a very, very good book that's a lot more entertaining and hard to put down than reading a good book. Um, but yeah, I liked chapter 2 a lot.
Of
Let's
course,
jump to chapter 3 so we don't run out of time.
this is the point where I was like, I hate you, Alex. Every game you're I was convinced you were picking games you knew I would hate. That's how I felt after chapter 2.
All right. So, chapter 3, you go talk to the healer. This is the pink girl. She talks a bit different than everybody else, but you're basically getting the backstory of what happened after she left, after Iris left. She went with the soldiers. They took her to a lab. They started cloning her, like lots and lots of clones of her. And then the memory messes up. Apparently, Iris has blocked the memory. But somehow Iris killed all of the soldiers and everybody in the world, and they don't really explain how. And then Iris was lonely for a long time. And then Iris started cloning herself with the clone machine and made these sisters of herself. She kept doing it and failing, and she perfected the methodology, and she cloned herself. And that's where these people come from. Did I miss anything big there?
No, I don't
It's
think
kind of
so.
the beginning of the society. It was just the five sisters and Iris. And she gave them all the roles, so that's where the different roles come from. But you are walking around with Watcher, who oddly is being treated kind of like Zhao is treated. All the other sisters are mean to Watcher because Watcher's job is to stare at them all day, and make a record of them. Um, and she gets really lonely, and she's looking for her sisters, and they're hiding from her intentionally. But she finds Zhao's diary and finds an old hair of Zhao, and she thinks, "Oh, Mom must be lonely because she doesn't have her friend. I can clone her friend. Mom's going to be so happy on her birthday. Her friend's going to be alive again." Um, and so she presents her mom with her friend. Her mom loses it, slits her friend's throat. Her friend dies. And then her mom somehow, I didn't follow this. She takes away their immunity from the disease. And so
Yep.
all of the sisters die except for Watcher. And she blames Watcher and says, "This is how it feels to be me. If you want to be me, this is how it feels to be me." And then you realize, oh, Iris kind of sucks.
Yeah, I think you kind of knew she sucked to begin with, but this is where it started to like maybe not suck a little bit. I still like I don't care. It's boring. Like maybe the plot's good, but you have to make it not boring. And they don't do a good job, in my opinion.
I'm
I
having
don't
a
really
great
have
time.
an
Yeah.
issue with the plot. I have an issue with the way they're presenting it. Couldn't you add a couple more puzzles in there or
They should have a
some
gummy ship
gameplay?
section. They should have a section where you build a gummy ship and fly through this really crappy like Star Fox clone.
Yeah. Yes. Something. Anything. Alex, we're running out of time. Um, I think those are good recaps. I played through chapter 4. I actually finished chapter 5 too. I
So I
don't
mean,
know.
we already know your answer here, Adam. Are you going to keep? Do you want to keep playing it?
No, you answer.
Yeah, I want to keep. We're going to keep playing this. You're already almost done with it. So we're going to keep playing this because my hope is that the story comes around on you. It almost came around on Silent Hill for you. I think the story has potential to come around on you. I would need to know what happens. I am totally enraptured. I'm totally, all in on this game. I'm 1,000% in on 1000xRESIST. But Adam, I think I know. I knew after the first 2 or 3 hours exactly that you would not like this, and you know how I knew that?
Because it's boring as sin.
Because you know what game this is most like? Outer Wilds.
I
It
think.
has the drip feed of plot in the exact same pace and almost the exact same manner as Outer Wilds without some of the gameplay mechanics. And that's what totally captures me is a slow revelation and piece by piece in different parts of the
But yet
story
you
that's
like you I don't understand that you're all about, which you should be, valuing your time. But they're taking maybe a good plot that could be a 5 hour experience that is bang, bang, bang. And they're adding all these stupid, monotonous methods to drip feed you the plot to elongate the game, though, however long it is, 14 hours or whatever. That's why I don't understand. You're like, oh, I'm okay with it. Waste nine
it's
hours of my
never
time.
it's never felt like it's gone by slow, and the space between the plot elements being delivered gives me time to marinate on the plot. Also, I think the soundtrack to this has been amazing so far. It really sets the mood, and so when something heavy happens, and then you have to spend time walking around to the next sister, that the heaviness sets in, and you're picking up chatter from other sisters you walk by. Like the environmental storytelling is strong, and so I think there's a lot going on advancing the story that's not just dialogue. So yeah, I don't know. What
Oh,
Adam, we're
okay,
gonna
well, I mean, the only good thing I can say is, as I mentioned, this is the least offensive game I think you have made me play. So I'm not super mad. I assumed we're going to finish it. I'm not super upset. Hopefully, like I said, chapter 4 and 5, like I get to the point where I didn't hate, like I wasn't angry playing it like I was the first three chapters. So maybe whether it's gotten better, I've gotten used to it, whatever. However, Alex, as now that we're playing this, depending on what your answer was, my answer was going to change. I gotta play something with some action after this crap. That's
It's up to
why the
you.
next game. So next week we're gonna finish
Yeah,
this,
definitely.
and then the week after that, Sniper Elite Resistance.
All
I
right.
I've never played it. I talked to the dude at GameStop. He was like, "It's a good game," but I was like, I'm gonna wait because we may not play it. I'm gonna go pre-order it. Comes out on the 28th. So, we're going to be a 1 week after that. But it has multiplayer. There's going to be tons of action. I don't know. It may suck. I've never played one of those games. It's time to roll out the red carpet. So that will be the game after. If listeners want to play with us, go ahead, pick it up. It's
Are
like, I don't
you
know, $60.
are you going to play it on PS5?
Yeah.
You want to be mad? It's on Game Pass. I get it for free.
I don't I don't care.
Okay. I just figured Deal Master Adam might care. Now
Oh no.
I'm gonna see if I can if it doesn't have crossplay, then I'll probably get it on PS5 so we can play together because
Because you
that's gonna
could
be
buy,
important.
yeah, we need to play together.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
could buy it physical and sell it. All the games you want to play, you can't do that. Yeah, I guess I could with the Silent Hill 2,
yeah.
but you're making me buy these freaking digital games and they suck. So,
All right. At least I'm not
okay.
sending you French copies of the game. Anyways, that is it for this session of Gaming is in Session. Thank you for listening to us. I hope you enjoyed our initial discussion of 1000xRESIST. Join us next week where we will be finishing up our discussion of 1000xRESIST. Hopefully we didn't spoil too much for you. If you want to play along, please play along. If you don't like this one, wait a couple weeks and you can play Sniper Elite. What's it called? Sniper Elite Rebellion? Sniper Elite
Resistance.
Resistance? 1000xRESIST to Sniper Elite Resistance. And then we're going to play the Resistance trilogy after that. Not really. But yeah, hit us up. YouTube.com/@gaming is in session. Send us an email, contact@playpsvr.com. Or, just leave us a comment on this video here. Give us a thumbs up. And you know what? Give us all the bad news. If you don't like what we say about these games, you know what you can do?
Tell it to the judges. Go
Glamour.
women!